This week in comic books, we get Peacemaker, and we're kind of focusing on the show, the Peacemaker, and his kind of personality, and what his loneliness really looks like. Also, in the lands of Marvel, we get Groot, and kind of his connection with Marvel. If you don't know who Marvel is, well, he's the real Captain Marvel. Not, yeah, we're going to talk about that. And in the land of Independence, we get Astrobots, and man, oh man, I liked that. There's just no other way to put it. We'll talk more about that, along with a bunch of other comic books. But first, let me try to sell you something, because it helps support the channel or something. I don't know. I can save you money on coffee. Check this out. What's going on, you weirdos? With the current ban of Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch products out there, I know a lot of you are about to get really sober and probably cranky. So please consider Coffee Brand Coffee. Use promo code POCANJOE, save yourself a little bit of money, go in there and get yourself some flavors. Check out the reviews and let me know what you think. Coffee Brand Coffee. It's not Bud Light. So, let's jump into this week's comic book haul and review. We're going to start off with, of course, Peacemaker. I like this. If you like the show, that's kind of the characteristics that we're putting into this. It may be the same character. I've heard people say that. Regardless, it's very similar as far as I can tell. In this one, he doesn't know how to, I don't know how to put it, incorporate himself in with other people, to society, right? He always thinks he has to do something immaculate to be noticed or to be recognized or to have people even care about him. In his own mind, that's how he thinks that. So, not having those social skills, he's kind of in this weird position. And of course, he finds a dog in this. Like most lonely people out there, I would imagine, do the same thing. I'm talking to you, lady with 50 cats. That's an extreme example. But for the most part, he really connects with this particular dog in there. Even names him Bruce Wayne because he looks like a fancy little gentleman, as he put it himself in there. And of course, he's still getting the occasional calls from Amanda Waller to go take care of something. So it's got the blood, it's got the violence, it's black labeled, so it's adult content in there. I really like this. Like, this was so close to being my pick of the week. It was so close, but I had to save that for something else. And of course, I had to go with the shiny cover, right? It was like a fishing lure to me. It was like the first thing I saw. So I ended up getting that. And it's slightly embossed too. So that's pretty cool. Pretty nifty little book there. You pay a little extra, you get a little extra, I guess. Next, still keeping on with the DC theme, we got Shazam #1. We've kind of reset the whole Shazam thing. Instead of the whole foster care family having superpowers and going off and fighting off everything as a family, we're back to Billy Bats and just having the powers now. Which makes it interesting because somebody's got a problem with it. Since we're just coming off of the whole Lazarus Planet thing, there's going to be a connection with Lazarus Planet, the Battle of the Gods, I believe it was. Definitely let me know if you read that whole series. I didn't. But it seems like there's a connection there from what I read in the first one. And apparently somebody's got a problem with Billy Batson having these powers and being a superhero in this. Is interesting because remember, he's a child at the end of the day. I really liked what they talked about in here as far as having wisdom and having an intellect or intelligence. I really like the way they described that in here. I thought that's pretty solid, right? Like, it's one thing to be wise about things and in your surroundings. It's another thing to be able to break down the components of something like Nordic gold or something like that. Something you see me do in the Evil Lair, right? Totally different thing. Like I have said 1,000 times, I am not a wise person. I'm just a guy that makes a lot of mistakes and can explain it very well. Right? But with this said, this God that's behind the scenes, they haven't named him yet, but he's kind of behind the scenes. And he's looking at Billy like, this is not what our power should be given to. Ooh, interesting, right? Who should power be given to then? So I'll definitely be chasing this one down to kind of see where they kind of take these kind of themes and concepts. Next, we got Groot. So yeah, it's got a young cover, so you know why I bought this, right? The wife. This is about Groot's home world, Planet X, and some other characters that he kind of hung out with, right? I believe one was Gilf, whatever their names are, it's what they say. And they kind of focused a little bit of this book on Groot's language and how it's kind of hard to determine what the character's saying, obviously, right? You've seen the movies. I don't have to explain that to you. something else that was interesting in this is that we're making a solid connection between Marvel, Captain Marvel, depending on your age, and Groot. Like, I never knew that those two cats knew each other. I'm sure maybe at some point in the comic book lore they've met, but I didn't realize that that he knew him at such a young age. So I thought that was kind of an interesting take on this, and the whole reason why this is happening is, of course, kind of a metaphor for taking care of the planet, not ravaging all of its resources, which has happened to Groot's planet, Planet X, and being responsible in that matter, and how sometimes you just need to step up and protect that kind of stuff. Great messaging, right? But where does it take us at the end of the day? I don't know. So I'm going to chase this one down a little bit too, and kind of see where it goes until it gets to something ridiculous, like, I don't know, everybody needs to eat mushrooms or something. And then I'm done. I need to have steak for dinner. All right. Next, SpiderVerse. So wasn't going to get this. I'll just be honest with you. I'm kind of, I get it. Anything and everything can be in the Spider-Verse and a Spider-Man, including in this one, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, right? And basically they're just swapping characters and storylines and kind of amalgamating them together and just kind of throwing a generic story out there. That's what that felt like to me. The second story in here would have been more interesting if I understood it. Like, I read it twice, and I'm just like, what? The big thing here is that there's another type of spider person out there that laid an egg, and like somebody took it. Yeah, it was creepy art. All right, moving on. Going into more Marvel, we got the Cult of Carnage, and we got Misery. So much like our last book, right? This is just another type of Venom. In this one, we take Henry Osborn's wife, right? Since he's gone, she's around. She's running the company. She's total boss lady, like killing it, right? And so that's not good enough. So now we're going to make her a symbiote. And they did this by mixing the white symbiote with the Venom symbiote, anti-Venom, I think is what we're going to call it. It was a mixture of black and white. So, okay, current times, I guess. Like, I don't know. That was just a weird thing to do. But, of course, like any other super scientific lab, they have all the other symbiotes in there, too, and somebody wants it. At some point, the people that do this are going to realize, hey, keeping all of them together in the same room, right, whatever protocols you have in place, is not a good idea. Like, that's just a bad idea. Don't do that. Villains, listen to me. Don't do it. Just don't. But we did in this one, and of course it affects her, and now she's the character Misery. So she's kind of a mixture of good and bad, I guess, is what we're gonna go with here. I'm kind of done with this. Like, how many different symbiotes? We get it. There's a lot of them. Much like the spider, there's a lot of them. We get it. But it's the same story, right? Super scientific lab, doing super scientific stuff. Accident happens because somebody wants the stuff. Oh, I'm infected. Oh, now I got to deal with this newfound thing that I am. No, I'm done with it. All right. So next we get Joe Fixit. Boom. So this is the end of this series right here. And of course it's on a cliffhanger like most things are. Hopefully we'll get something in the future. Because I say that because there were some plot holes in it. So they're either plot holes or they're leads into other stories after I read all 5 issues. In this one we get our big battle. We get our Vegas kind of superhero bad guy team. And of course we got Wilson Fisk and his super bad guy team. And then we got Hulk and the mobsters from the casinos. Kind of having a battle royale, right? What ended up ending the battle is, of course, Electro and Hydro. One shooting water and the other one shooting electricity, taking out the power and shortening everything out, and then Hulk smash. Boom, doom, right? Spider-Man kind of assisted a little bit. Kind of not the big climactic ending I was expecting, but for a 5-issue run, it was pretty solid all the way through, and I enjoyed reading a lot of this. And again, I can't talk enough. I love the artwork in it, especially when you get pages like this. Like, you clearly get that somebody's power leveling up there. Powering up, leveling up. they're doing it. Like he's just living his best dream there. So yeah, good stuff. I enjoyed that. If they bring some more back, I'm sure I'll read it. All right, next, jumping into independent. So I got a one per store preview. So, spoiler, if your comic book shop didn't get this, and this is Pathfinder, and this is by Dynamite. It's a pretty classic fantasy type story. A bunch of oddballs meet up. They're all going for the same goal. They're all going to have to figure out a way to work together to get not only the thing they're all looking for, but to survive the journey that they're going through. This wasn't even a full story in here. You can tell it was kind of chopped up and then just thrown on a cardboard thing, kind of sent out. But I'm super happy. You know, my comic book shop was like, hey, you may want this. So super, see, become friends with your comic book shop. You get cool shit. But for the most part, it doesn't really tell you much about the story, the whys, or anything else. It's just say, hey, this is what the artwork looks like. Here's kind of what we're playing with. And then I believe the real book comes out on, June 7th. So keep your eyes open. I enjoyed this, but it wasn't enough to like make me scream and yell that this is going to be the best thing going on. But I am intrigued, and I do want to see issue 1 when it does come out. Moving on. All right, pick of the week, and not for the reason that most people buy comic books for, so I apologize. But it's Astrobots, and this is from Whatnot Publishing. So, like, I'm not a WhatsApp guy. Like, I don't sell on there. I don't really buy on there a whole lot. I've been reading their comic books. If you've ever watched the show, you know that. Most of these they've been kind of throwaway for me, but this one really kind of stuck out because it talks about basically society. So, quick rundown: humans got to leave Earth because we've destroyed it or whatever. So, what we're going to do is we're going to make some AI robots that can think for themselves, and we're going to send them off into space, put them on a planet, and they can start building our colony there. So when the humans get there, plop, we have a place to live. Easy enough, right? But what they've done is since it's AI generated, it's ever learning and adapting, it kind of does what you would expect in society. There's clear leadership there. There's clear lower class there. And the respect to the elders is kind of more of a stay over there, right? So as these newer robots that have been there for quite a long time, they've gone through various generational changes, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, whatever the case may be, and they've become more sophisticated. And built this kind of society with the whole goal in mind that this society, when the humans come here, ta-da, human, welcome. That's the goal. And they're all mech'd out, too. I should say that, right? They all look like Transformers and Voltron, and it's pretty cool. Pretty good artwork, actually. So something from the past that's out in the wastelands. It's a futuristic story about dystopia, so there's always a wasteland. Like one of the Gen 1 models returns back to the city, and everybody's like, oh my god, why are you here? You know, what is your purpose? Blah, blah, blah. Needs to talk to somebody in charge. Obviously, there's a hierarchy, like I mentioned. But there's also something even more interesting. When you break out societies, there's always a fringe group in society, right? There's others. And that happens in this book, even to the point to where they made a distraction to steal weaponry and the whole 9 yards. So you have a society of robots that are acting like us. Weird. Yeah. All right, moving on. Next, Junk Rabbit. So I want to say I want to pick some more of this up. And I'm not dumping it because I don't like it. It's just the story's a little predictable now. Like I can figure out most of these plot points at this point. And as I was reading this, I was like, okay, this is not engaging me. I can kind of see where this is going. Could they possibly pull a twist on me and surprise me? I'm going to go with no. So, with this one out, we get a little bit more insight as to why this rabbit is such a problem for the people that live in the domes, a higher society. Again, another generational, or not societal, another kind of societal disparity type story, right? People live in trash, people live in domes, right? And why the rabbit is such a meaningful object on this particular character, because they've actually built a religion around it, for one thing, right? And that's, you know, when you want people to think something's important, building faith around it obviously generates that kind of trust with certain people. I say certain, right? Because there's always people that are like, nah. So, for the most part. And what the rabbit actually represents to the people in the dome is not good either. So it kind of forces this kind of, hey, focus on the disparity versus what you can get. You could be part of this dome thing, right? You could have this better life over here, and then there are people that are just like, no, I want to make my life here in the trash better. This kind of thing goes back and forth. I will say that that's interesting to me, but for the most part, the story's not about people going to live a better life in the dome, and because life's not really better there. It's a facade. But for the most part, I kind of see where the story's going to take this, and it's not something I'm interested in at this point. Cool art in it, cool action. If you need that kind of motivation, pull yourself up from the bootstraps and accept your situation and make it better there, this may be very well the story for you. In most cases, it would be for me, but just not this way. If you read issue 2, definitely let me know down below what you thought of it. Yeah, we'll just move on now. All right, next. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So, pick of the week, right? Just happens to be the last one in the stack. And this ends this particular series, too. On issue 5. A lot of issue 5s in here. Mini-series happening. So what is this about? I don't want to tell you. I legitimately do not want to give you a rundown of this book. If you've been reading this, you definitely need to finish. And it's not done. This left on a hard cliffhanger. So I'll just throw this out there. Shredder becomes a Mighty Morphin. He gets one of the little power cell things and becomes a Mighty Morphin, whatever, Power Ranger 2 in it for a little bit. And if you like this, I don't know this character. I'm not huge on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I know a lot of you out there are, but I'm kind of intrigued with this Zod character, Z-O-D. Kind of interested in this character. I want to know more about just the way it looked and everything. I literally know very little about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's definitely maybe something I need to get more involved in and read. I've asked for opinions out there before, and of course I'll ask again if there's something that I can kind of read where you don't have to know like 20 pages of lore behind it. Definitely recommend it to me. I'll be happy to try and check it out. So that's my haul and review this week. So what's coming up? You definitely need to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because my wife came back from Ireland. She went with a friend over to Ireland, and she brought me back some comic books, both comic books from Ireland and some American comic books she found while she was there too. And I had a few auction wins that I picked up here recently, some Ghost Rider stuff. So definitely subscribe, hit that notification bell. Those videos will be popping out shortly after this one, in the next day or two of seeing this, and we'll be bringing that to you as quickly as possible. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and go. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.